Thank you. Mr. Reichert, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Usually, if an administration wants to change how a program operates, they submit a legislative proposal for Congress to consider. But that's not what the Obama administration did with its proposal to waive the TANF work requirements. Despite the fact that the Obama administration said in prior budgets they would work with Congress on TANF reforms, they didn't propose any reauthorization changes and instead simply claimed they could waive the current work requirements last summer without even notifying Congress. As Chairman Camp indicated in his opening statement, what really has not come to light until recently is the fact that before the Obama waiver policy was issued, members of this committee were working on a bipartisan basis to reauthorize and improve TANF. Even more incredibly, bipartisan draft legislation had been shared with the Obama administration before they announced their misguided waiver policy. But instead of working with Democrats and Republicans on this bipartisan legislation, the Obama administration announced they would waive welfare work requirements right in the middle of our discussions. As we all saw last year, that completely torpedoed any potential for bipartisan progress last year. Mr. Weidinger, I understand that you have information on the timing of those discussions with HHS. Can you tell me when the Ways and Means Committee first indicated to the Obama administration that the committee would be discussing TANF reauthorization?
Yes, Mr. Reichert. The Human Resources Subcommittee held a hearing on May 17, 2012. That hearing focused on reauthorization topics. They included the topic known as excess MOE requirements, which are a mechanism by which states have basically weakened the work requirements and reduced the number of individuals subject to those work requirements. Members on both sides of the aisle at that hearing, as well as witnesses, expressed interest in closing that excess MOE loophole, strengthening the work requirements.
Did HHS indicate that they were preparing guidance to waive work requirements at any time prior to or after that hearing?
No.
And after this hearing, I understand that discussions began in Congress on a bipartisan basis again around TANF reauthorization proposals, and that HHS became a party to the details of those discussions. Can you tell me when HHS received the draft bipartisan reauthorization proposal to review?
Yes, Mr. Reichert. The draft legislation was prepared through the month of June, and then on June 29th, a draft of that legislation was shared with HHS, seeking their technical assistance on the legislation.
Now, that's almost 2 full weeks before HHS announced that they would waive TANF work requirements, correct?
That's right.
What happened next?
Shortly thereafter, on July 9th, committee staff held a bipartisan conference call with HHS, at which some of HHS's technical appraisal of the draft was shared, and it was suggested that written guidance would be provided shortly. Written technical assistance on the legislative draft would be provided. Of course, then that was shortly thereafter followed by the actual release of the HHS information memorandum on July 12th, which had the effect that you described before.
So even while they were still reviewing the bipartisan TANF reauthorization proposal designed to strengthen the work requirements, HHS went forward with announcing they would allow states to waive TANF work requirements altogether?
That's correct.
Mr. Chairman, it's amazing to me that the administration would proceed with this, its waiver policy, especially knowing that real bipartisan progress was being made in Congress. Clearly, we need to act to reject this waiver proposal so we can get back to working together to close loopholes and strengthen the work requirements so more welfare recipients get the help they need to go back to work.
All right. Thank you.